Waycross presents an election forum for Issue 6, a proposed tax levy for the Winton Woods City School District. When voters go to the polls on November 8th, they will be asked to consider the following issue. Shall a levy be imposed by the Winton Woods City School District for the purpose of providing for the emergency requirements of the school district in the sum of $3 million, and a levy of taxes to be made outside of the 10 mil limitation estimated by the county auditor to average 5.4 mils for each $1 evaluation, which amounts to 54 cents for each $100 evaluation for a period of 5 years commencing in 2022, first due in calendar year 2023.
Another Waycross election forum. This forum is for the Winton Woods City School District operating levy. I'm Dana Gagnon, Government Programming Coordinator for Waycross Community Media, and in the studio today we have with us Monica Bowles, co-chair of the Levy Committee. We have Superintendent Anthony Smith, and we also have Priscilla Franklin, who is also on that Levy Committee also. So we're going to start with a 2-minute opening statement where you can introduce the whole issue to us. But then, if you are watching live on September 21st, you will have the chance to email your questions about this issue to me here in the studio right here, and I'll be able to ask your questions for you. If you're watching this program live, the email address will show up on the bottom of your screen. It's live@waycross.org. Now, we've got some rules for those questions. If you're watching live, you must be a Winton Woods School District resident to ask a question. When you send me your email, please include your name, your street address, and your town. Now, I'm not going to read all that on the air. I'm just going to use your first name. And that means we're ready for your opening statement. Mr. Smith, would you like to start us with that?
Yes, thank you, Dana. I am excited to have Monica and Priscilla here with me. They have been advocates of the district and very, very supportive of the work that we're doing for all the young people, not just a few. I think one of the things that people need to understand is there are people in the community that mention, Superintendent, you have a levy on every year. And the reason those levies are coming up every year is because the levy has not been successful. So people have mentioned that their taxes continue to go up, but it's not because of the levies that we're importing. It's because taxes may be from the township, it may be from the community, it may be from different entities, but it's not because of our levies. So I want people to just be rest assured that we're trying to get the levy passed this time, and we have not had new money since 2009. But it's not because we have been negligent about the spending and the resources, it's because the state funding is absolutely unconstitutional. We've said that many, many times, and I think the public needs to understand that not having new resources from 2009, we're probably the only district in the region that has not had new money. And we're now we're going into the next phase of 2023, and those years are beginning to add up. We have a lot of amenities, a lot of opportunities that young people take advantage of, but in some cases, those things have to be paid for. They are not free. It's just like running a household. Things go up, things change, and you readjust your budget. This would be a $3 million per year add-on, but it expires in 5 years. So if the public is not satisfied with how it's happened, then with the renewal, then you don't support it. But I can guarantee you that if the public is supporting this levy, they would be very, very satisfied with the outcome and how we're actually creating a better opportunity for young people.
Now, I have some questions that have come in from the community, and then also if you're watching this live and you haven't sent in your question yet, feel free, live@waycross.org. If you're watching on September 21st, is the only chance you have to do that. But let's break it down a little bit, because that was a good statement that really sums it all up. But there's some different components. And first, just looking at why does the school district need this levy? And I don't know if, Monica, you'd like to start with that.
Well, I think, as our superintendent just mentioned, obviously costs go up. So just take that as a homeowner, as a mom. gas went up, for example. So it used to cost, say, $30 to fill up my car. Now we're pushing $50, $60. So those costs resonate with our schools, with our utility bills and everything else. And you know, there are those of us that really want to keep all of our extracurricular activities there, all of our staff, all of our teachers there. I think Winton Woods has done a phenomenal job with our students. I've had a very positive experience with my own daughter in our schools here this year, and I'd like to see that continue. So really, you know, it's more than money. This is life or death, I think, for education. We all know that there are issues across the state, also nationally. There are fringe groups, political persuasions, and things that have infiltrated our schools. What we do not need is anything to come between educating our children, including costs. So I hope people really support our schools. Our kids need it.
Mr. Smith, what are some of the specific things that the school district really needs this levy to support?
Well, there are several, and one of the main ones is, as Ms. Bowles mentioned, safety is at an all-time high in every community. The safer you are, the better you perform. Young people can't perform their best when they're worried about safeties, and teachers can't teach their best when they're worried about safety. If you look at any of the tragedies in our region or across the country, a lot of aid and support came along after the tragedy took place. And we have one school resource officer for all three sites that we have. Many districts have 2 or 3 SROs for every building that they have. We have one for the entire district. That's really unfair. It's unfair to the community, it's unfair to the students. And the SRO, I don't want people to be confused about a security on staff. The school resource officer is a trained police officer who has an incredible relationship with the young people, and we know that having more opportunities and more officers would create a better opportunity for the entire community. So we'd like to have 2 school resource officers at the North Campus and 2 resource officers at the South Campus.
Excellent. So that's one of the main things that is your mission for this, to make sure you can make that happen. Are there other things that are part of your focus for this?
Yes. So we have this process where when parents drop their children off, especially the South Campus, school starts at 8:30 for some, 9 o'clock for others. We've created a nice process where parents can drop that 9 o'clock kid off at 8:30 and not have to worry about being in the line to stay. So we've had to eliminate that. We had to eliminate that this year. Some parents are very frustrated about it because it gave them an opportunity to get to work earlier or to take care of chores or do other things that they needed to do. As soon as the levy is successful, we will restore that because that's overtime for employees. Unfortunately, we want the world to be free and we want people to offer free services, but that's not reality. Things cost. We're also expanding the opportunity for our preschool program. We're working on restoring the preschool building without additional tax dollars. We did not come back. We were very, very responsible about raising the money, taking care of it the right way, and we didn't go back to taxpayers, but the preschool program is expanding, and we have young people on the waiting list. So we're expanding the preschool opportunity, but we like to make sure that we have all the amenities, just like when the newer buildings, we don't want to do it halfway. So that's another thing that needs to happen. People ask the question, Superintendent, what happens if the levy is not successful? Then we start cutting into major things. We start cutting into the fine arts programs, and we start cutting into athletics. Now, is that really what we want to do? No, because we believe that those coexist, they go together. They go together in order to create a holistic, we keep talking about the holistic child. Well, these are holistic issues. I know that young people wore masks for almost 2 years in the developmental stage. So we have a 9% population of students with disabilities that need speech. I can guarantee you that population is going to grow because they haven't had the opportunity to articulate appropriately without the mask. And then finally, the community, every community is talking about the shortage of bus drivers, the shortage of bus opportunities. Every community has that the same issue. We'd like to expand our bus garage opportunities, not just with drivers, but with support people that help make that bus move in the way that it should in a very, very safe manner, getting kids to school. And then finally, one of the major pieces is the mental health of our young people and our staff. The mental health issues are absolutely astronomical as far as the support that young people need. They need counselors, they need more support, they need more encouragement. PBL in our district is actually a regular full-service provider where we encourage young people to speak their mind, be advocates of their work. Now, as far as it's concerned at Winton Woods, that's been a very, very good entity, but we know we need to expand from there. Young people are having very difficult time maintaining themselves, not because they're out of control, but because they lost 2 years in isolated situations working on their own.
Yeah. I'm just going to take a brief second to say, if you're watching this program live and you just tuned in, believe it or not, we're almost about halfway. And you can email your questions about the Winton Woods Levy to me in the studio right here, live at waycross.org. I'm going to keep going with other questions so we can get as much information in as we can. And Priscilla, I think you can probably answer this. I have some just kind of basic, frequently asked questions here. When was the last time the district asked for an operating levy?
Well, as a matter of fact, I was on the Board of Education at the time. So as the superintendent mentioned, we passed the levy in 2009. So that tells you right there how much this levy is needed. None of us can live without a raise for that many years. Just think about it, you know, none of us could do that. I'd like to say too, though, I'm a long-term resident of the district. I've lived here 31 years. My kids graduated from Winton Woods, and I know how valuable that education is and was for them. And I no longer have kids in the school, but it's my responsibility to do what I can for that next generation. And that's the one thing I want people out there to know. We have to educate the next generation. Someone did it for us, we've got to do it for the next generation. And we can't stand back and say, I don't have kids in the district anymore.
That is one of my questions, and I ask this every time we're doing something with a school district, is what do you say to the families that don't have a kid or a grandkid directly in the district?
I can answer that.
How should they think about this?
I can answer that simply because we're creating something that many communities don't have. We're creating a community learning center. In the community learning center, it's for speech, it's for hearing, it's for dental, it's for any kind of emotional opportunities that the kid may be facing. But, Dana, the most powerful piece is open to the public. So when the public says, what do I get for my dollars, you get a clinic right here on site in your buildings. And the goal is to make sure there's one on every one of the campuses that anyone can use that's part of the community.
I do want to follow up because I do get questions periodically. How is this different from the building levy? Because some folks feel like they saw a levy since 2009, but this is operating, and that was a building levy. How are they different?
You wanna?
Yeah.
Okay. Very simply, the 2009 was an operating levy, money to support the district, to pay for all of the things that are necessary for the school district to properly run. The bond levy was for the buildings, to build new buildings. That money is not used in operating. We needed that money to pay for 2 brand new buildings that needed to be replaced. Those buildings, we talked about replacing them back in 2009 when I was on the board, and the need to do that was great even then. Our Green Hills building, I think, was built in the 50s.
Yes.
So it was well past its life when we finally replaced it. So one was for building only, the bond, and the other is to operate the district, to pay our teachers, to do all the things we need done each and every day.
Okay, so that should answer, hopefully that will answer people's questions, that you're not allowed to use that money
Yes.
No.
over here for these things.
That's
It's
right.
very specific. Now, another question that I get is people ask, are there any cuts the district can make so that this won't be necessary? And I think that might be a question for you, Mr. Smith.
There are cuts that can be made as it relates to the levy, but the cuts there would be such consequences for the cuts, you wouldn't even want to do it. It would be things like cutting the fine arts program. And a lot of our young people, guess what? They go to college and major in something as it relates to the fine arts. You can cut the athletic program, but we have a lot of our young people who go to college for free. I want every child in our district to have a special quality that says, this university loves me so much based on my skills and talent that I will let you go for free. And I think those are the things that people don't understand, that if we start tampering with certain parts of it, we had 62 record-breaking honors diploma students. Never had that number before. It's not necessarily based on a whole lot of criteria other than you have to have certain skill sets, like you have to have an incredible physics course. You have to have a calculus course. If you can't offer those courses, our kids can't be honors diploma students. That's what helps us beat out other districts, because we can offer it. When you start making cuts, you start taking away specialty courses, and guess what? One of the things that Ms. Franklin as well as Ms. Bowles mentioned when we were talking about the segment, those opportunities are not just good on paper, they're good with real paper. What's the real paper? Scholarships.
Absolutely. Another question that I get here is, are there other, you talked about the sources of funding from the state and how that's not really sufficient. And what are other sources of funding that the district has pursued in addition to this?
When you start talking about funding sources that will have sustainability, there are not many. Actually, there are not any. Because you can get lucky and get some endowment or some grant from somewhere. It has no sustainability. How do I actually hire a teacher or a professional on a if or a wish? They have families that they have to take care of. We put a lot of professional development into our teachers based on project-based learning. And I can tell you, when we are not able to give sufficient raises, another district scoops them up with no problem at all.
So there's another question that I have here that I want to ask. We've had this levy on the ballot before, and it didn't pass. It's back because you need it. You've talked about what you need. What are some things that you feel like you wish the voters knew? And I'm going to ask each of you this because I feel like each of you are probably hearing different things from voters. So what are some things, we'll start with you, Monica, that you wish the voters knew about this?
I got to tell you, I really wish people understood the commitment that I think that this district has to our children. You don't see that all the time. I actually transferred in from the district. We've had a very, very positive experience from the top of the food chain all the way down to the bottom. The teachers are highly engaged. And I'm not saying this just because I'm, here. I'm saying it because it's the truth. And it has been my personal experience. I have very high expectations of people. I have very high expectations of our educators, of my own child. They have been front and center. They've been very accessible to us. The open houses, the conferences, the communication is just, it's stellar. I want to say that this is not necessarily in every school district. I think that what this district has, they manage it well, fiscally and operationally. I think you see the benefits there, and I really hope voters understand that. I really strongly advocate for passing this levy because these kids need it. This isn't about Monica as a parent. This isn't about the folks that work in the school district. This is about our children. And at some point, we as a community have to remember that. We can put money towards an extra dinner a month or whatever it is. Why can't we do the same for our schools? We're still, remember back in 2009, gas was like maybe $1.75 a gallon. And so now we're still all close to $4 a gallon for gas. Those things matter. And so we have to understand that we haven't had those increases to match those realities. So I'm just pleading with people to really pass the levy. I'm saying that as a mom, as a working mom, as a parent, and all of those things. So it matters.
Why don't I go to you, Priscilla? What do you
Oh.
wish parents knew or voters knew? Just
My
briefly,
gosh.
just
Yes.
like, just a minute or so.
We have, and I'm going to just say it, we have a very diverse community. And some may not be able to afford as much as some others. I personally feel that it's all of our responsibility to educate all of our children. Every young person in this district deserves the best education available. And none of us should ignore that, regardless of who we are, what our, financial situation is. We need to do the very best we can to make sure every young person gets every opportunity that they can, which is, as I said, I no longer have children in the district, but I understand how valuable it is. I understand the value of an education, and I want that for every young person that's in this district.
Mr. Smith, is there a 1-minute version of what you wish
Yes.
the voters
So
knew?
when great things are happening in the district, state championships for football, great opportunities for music, high academic standards, people are going around applauding that. They're proud to live in their community. However, you're supporting it verbally, but you're not supporting it at the polls. And so we want to be able to make sure that you support it at the polls because you feel proud of the new buildings, because the new buildings actually has created a different situation in the community. Your property value has increased because of these new buildings. We have a Sprint program, a program with Spectrum, and 900 people will have free Spectrum, and we're paying, Spectrum is covering the bill, $60 a month. It does not cost them any money, none. 900 families get that opportunity. We're 700, looking for 700 people to take advantage of it. So when you start talking about the $15 that we're asking for you a month, and you get a $60 a month, you do the math. It's to the parents' advantage.
Excellent. Well, I really want to thank all three of you for coming to the studio and joining us this evening. And I would like to thank you, the viewers, for joining us as well. If you need more information before you vote in the upcoming election, you can watch all of our election forum programs at www.waycross.tv. You can also go to the Hamilton County Board of Elections website. Go there now to make sure that you're registered. You can look at a sample ballot and you can find out where your voting location is. You go to votehamiltoncountyohio.gov to do all those things. Also, voter registration and updating your address goes through October 11th. You can do that online now, so make sure you go right to that website so you can do that. Early voting starts October 12th. Vote, if you're voting in person, on November 8th. And I'm Dana Gagnon, Waycross Government Programming Coordinator, and I will see you at the polls on November 8th.
Waycross takes no position on candidates or issues. We conduct these forums so that our viewers may be better informed voters for the November 8th elections.